I want to let you guys know right now, this video contains no memes. I am sorry. Today we're talking about mental health. I used to have a really bad case of anxiety, and that's something that a lot of people go through. A huge breakthrough came from probably the most unexpected place possible. I've spent hundreds of hours actively trading in the stock market, and not only did this teach me about the main causes of my anxiety, but trading actually helped me develop 3 habits for correcting each one. And I want to share this with you today because even if you have no interest in the stock market, these habits can help you improve basically any part of your life. So let's get right to it. So where does anxiety come from? Well, really, it's just the way that we relate to stress. And stress, at the end of the day, is just an internal reaction to a situation. Biologically, it's only meant to help us in emergencies, but we train ourselves to trigger this reaction with things that we just label as stressful. And most of the time, it's not actually helpful, but it's not really your fault because everything in your life so far has been reinforcing your habits of responding to things mentally and emotionally in certain ways. And if these habits are negative and you keep reinforcing them, they get locked in as anxiety. So the good news here is that a lot of it is stuff that we can influence. The hard part is that you can't just tell yourself stop doing that. That's not how habits work. You don't just stop having anxiety. You gotta retrain it. And that's the key here. You gotta find some activity that you can use to reinforce better mental and emotional habits. And for me, somehow that thing was trading stocks. It wasn't on purpose. I kind of just wanted to make money. It was super interesting, but it was the most difficult thing I've ever spent time on, partially because the stock market is just complicated, but also because human psychology really has 3 huge flaws: indecisiveness, attachment, and over-complication. Trading showed me how these 3 things can make people worse at pretty much every part of life, so we gotta fix them. So first of all, I used to be an extremely indecisive person. I would get really stressed out just thinking about things without actually doing anything. And one way to correct indecisiveness is to have a plan. Now, I do not mean predict the future. You can't, please don't bother trying. But you have to at least know what you're doing. When you're trading in the stock market, you gotta know when are you entering a position, what's your exit, your stop loss, your position size, time frame, why. If you don't answer these things, you're kind of just hoping you get lucky, and like 95% of people don't. But once I started doing this thousands of times, it carried over into other parts of my life. One example is when I think, oh, I should start making YouTube videos. I would tell myself that a lot over the past few years, but I never actually did anything because I always waited for the perfect time and for everything to feel right. But now, here's an idea. This is when it's good enough. This is when I post it and move on. This is when I throw it away because it's not worth it. These are reactions I can expect. Boom, done in like 2 seconds. I don't need to think about it. A bigger example was me pulling out of school. When I mention this to people, like 99% of people just freak out and they get super emotional because of the type of decision it is. But objectively, like from a trading mindset, I'm not really feeling CS at Berkeley and there's a lot going on. So if I get to this point and I still feel this way, I just pull out. On one end, if I find something I love that works out for me, I go do that. On the other end, I'm already re-enrolled for the fall. I can just go back. I look like an idiot for a second, but I graduate in 2020 still. Done in like 10 seconds. And as I practiced having a plan, I realized that I don't need to be right all the time. I just need to outweigh my losses with profits overall. As long as you're decisive, you execute your plans, and you learn and adjust every time, you're gonna be okay. The hard part is letting go once you're already attached. Whether you put money in a stock or you put time and emotion into something, there's an expectation, there's some attachment there. And people are naturally afraid of being wrong. I used to struggle with that so much. I would always justify my bad decisions and try to just deal with mistakes forever. Trading in the stock market showed me how serious this is, because what's stronger than the fear of being wrong? The fear of losing money. And the only way to protect yourself from completely blowing up your account is to cut your losses like a professional. It really sucks to just accept a loss and sell something when it's down, but if you don't, it can just keep draining your entire account. You can end your trading career with one huge loss. Patterns break, fundamentals change. Yeah, you lose money, but you can always re-enter it if it reverses, but you free up your capital to move it to other stocks that are uptrending. This goes for a lot of things in life. For example, Dating. Let's say you're in a relationship, maybe it was an amazing idea at first, but people change. Circumstances change. What are the chances that they don't? Maybe the relationship is toxic now. It is so hard to just break up with someone, especially because you've spent so much time with them, but you risk wasting years of your life stressed out about a relationship that's probably not gonna work out based on how it looks right now. And you could potentially instead be dating, I don't know, the greatest human being on the planet. Another example is, let's say you graduate school and you start working. Maybe you hate your job. It really sucks to just quit your job because then you're admitting that you wasted years in school and in this industry. But if you don't, you could potentially just burn the rest of your lifetime until you retire working in an industry you hate because you were stubborn. Let's say you're getting paid like, I don't know, $80,000 a year right now. Well, you're not really losing $80,000. You could probably find something that pays at least $50,000 to $60,000 if you really need to. But you could potentially be making unlimited money. As I practiced cutting my losses, whether it be getting out of bed when I can't fall asleep or walking away from homework when it's no longer productive, I became more able to just let go and just live in the moment. Well, what makes these things so hard? Most people will say it's because life is complicated. And yeah, you're right. There's an infinite number of things that can complicate whatever you're doing, especially in the stock market. You gotta look at earnings reports, dividend yields, news, public sentiment, EMA, SMA, volatility, volume. But really, at the end of the day, the only thing that actually matters is the movement of the price, whether it goes up or down. And you can always look at the movement of a stock after the fact and say, oh, if only I knew about this other thing. I gotta just pay attention to that next time. And if you just let yourself react, you're gonna get slaughtered. Like, it's not gonna work. A big reason why I used to be overwhelmed and anxious all the time was because there were too many people's opinions I had to care about, too many expectations I needed to meet, too many things I needed in my life, too many things I needed to try harder on. A lot of that added no value to my life. A lot of it is just noise. And trading taught me to identify which things don't add value and just filter them out. It taught me to just do things based on what makes sense to me and what I value. And once I learned to just filter out the noise, have a plan, and cut losses, my anxiety slowly started getting better over the years, and it no longer bothers me as much as it used to. And I really hope that for a lot of people watching this, the same could happen to you, whatever you choose to do to get there. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap that notification bell so YouTube lets you know when I post more content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you here next time.